Well, ladies and gentlemen, we got hit with an artillery barrage of polls over the past 12 hours and really all the swing states, even states like New York. I mean, it's been like over 20 polls in total, and we've got all this data to get to. Most of it is good news for Trump. We're not seeing anything like we saw in 2020, anything like 2016. You compare the years, Trump's doing so much better in 2024. The lib cope on that is, oh, they've just adjusted their models. Now they're going to be more accurate, when in reality, they probably are still underestimating Trump, and that's with him doing better in 2024, to where if we had the election tonight, I think Trump for sure would win based off of all of these polls. You can see the New York Times Siena poll has Trump up 9 in the Midwest. In 2016, he won the Midwest by less than 5. Of course, he beat Hillary and swept the Rust Belt in 2016. He's up by 9 right now. He won it and swept the Rust Belt, winning it by less than 5 in 2016. So he's overperforming it according to this specific poll. That's not to say it's for sure going to happen, but this poll, this is New York Times. It's not some conservative. They're saying that Trump is overperforming the Midwest versus 2016, which is the home to Wisconsin and Michigan and a few other states, some of them not swing states. And in 2020, he won it by just 2 points. And of course, he barely lost Wisconsin. He barely lost Michigan. And so if he barely won by 2 points the Midwest in 2016, or excuse me, in 2020, now he's up 9. That's a massive shift. That is good news. You've got this from Gallup, and I'll be honest, I don't think this is accurate, but you can see it does have Republicans. This is just the electorate, party identification. You do have, this is with independent leaners, Republicans sitting at 50%, Democrats at 45%. So according to this poll, I mean, if that was true, Donald Trump would for sure win the election. I will say when you push independents to make a decision, I feel like they will more than likely lean Republican than Democrat. But this whole thing where a lot of these liberal pollsters are oversampling Dems by like 5, 10. I mean, we saw one poll, Monmouth, oversample them by 25 points when you actually looked at it, with the moderate Dems and the normal liberals combining for like 57% of the vote. Republicans were at like 26. It's just absurd. There's no way they should be oversampling Dems in a national poll by 5 or 6 points. That's not going to be this electorate at all. If anything, it's like 2 points. And in the swing states, it really should be even. You shouldn't be oversampling anyone in a state like Pennsylvania, especially when you factor in the voter registration change from 2020 to 2024, where yes, the Democrats do still lead in terms of voter registration, but it's been such an improvement by the right. I would say it's basically, in terms of that, it's like even at this point when you factor in the limited amount they won in 2020. They lost Pennsylvania in 2016. When you oversample Dems in these swing states, it just makes no sense. And especially nationally, I mean, you want to oversample them by 2 or 3, okay. But, you know, I certainly don't think Republicans, in terms of party identification, are +5 over Dems. But I think it's a lot more even. And we've seen with party registration, voter registration, Republicans trend in every state outside of like California and Massachusetts, to where there's more Republicans than Democrats, the change since 2020 to 2024. So all these things are looking good. There's certainly more, you know, there's a movement with more right-wing people in this country. And it is good. This is Florida Atlantic. It looks like their post-debate poll. There's no change there. I'm just going to start rapid fire running through some of these polls because there are a lot of them here. Independents, there's no way Harris wins independents. And yeah, we saw that with her doing like one interview. She winning independents by 7 points. It's just not going to happen. I can guarantee you she will not win independents by 7 points, let alone 5 points, let alone 3 points. And this poll, you know, like I said, the debate was going to, remember what I said? I said the debate would have no effect. Liberals tried saying, oh, she crushed him. She's going to be up by so much. Even these liberal pollsters who have Harris winning independents by 7 points are saying there's no effect on the debate. Look at this. It's the exact same. So there's no effect according to that. North Carolina mail-in voting. The mail-in voting is just so positive in comparison to 2024 Republicans. You've got Republicans sitting, change versus 2020, +3%, Democrats down 8%, and you've got more white people here, which is good news for Trump, because that's the electorate, you know, he does well in. And so this is more good news, North Carolina mail-in voting data. You've got Pew Research newest poll, party ID with leaners. Wow, is this another? This is a different poll than Gallup. Is that correct? That's pretty remarkable. It's got Republicans +4, so maybe that is something. I mean, these numbers are just amazing. Oh, this is an amazing tweet. Look at this. Decided to look at the polls with the Real Clear Politics Pennsylvania average, and he did it with other states, or is this just Pennsylvania? And you can see basically every poll, some of these polls shifting by 6 points, +5 Dem to +1 Republican, +9 Dem to tied, +3 Dem to +2 Republican, insider advantage, one of the more accurate pollsters. Even Quinnipiac, they've brought it down a little bit to +3. New York Times down 5, down 4, down 7. You know, everyone, CNN went from +10 Biden at this time in 2020 to where it is now, where it is tied. And you could say, well, they're more accurately grading Trump supporters. I don't, you know, or polling Trump supporters. I don't know about that. Every single poll shows a 4 to 5 point shift. I think it's even more than that. I mean, CNN's a 10-point shift. You've got some of the 9-point shift, 5-point shift, a 7-point shift with CBS. I mean, these are crazy, crazy, crazy numbers. And here's Silver bringing down Trump to 51% when he was at 65. He's factored in the Quinnipiac polls. Not smart. It's going to ruin your model if you do that. You see Quinnipiac, you see the internal numbers with Harris winning in Pennsylvania. I mean, Pennsylvania, that's what's killed Trump in terms of a, you know, something like this, because it's such a huge state. If Trump goes from like a 60% chance to win Pennsylvania to a 48%, that's going to kill his odds. And when you factor in a Quinnipiac poll that has Harris up by 5, with the numbers completely skewed, it's got Harris winning people over 65 by 9 points. It's total crap. It is total crap. And then they factor it into this, and it's like, oh, now Harris is coming up. I would take Quinnipiac out because of how bad they've been. You look at their internal numbers. It is terrible. Kamala receiving devastating news this morning. New York Times is Siena poll is tied nationally. Emerson has her down to in every swing state. Yeah, that's another thing. North Carolina poll, Trump +4 via Victory Insights over Harris. That's a nice lead of 4 points there. Recent Pennsylvania polls tied, and then Trump +1. Pennsylvania is a very close state, but those are also really good polls for Trump as well. I talked about that New York poll that had Harris up by 13. That's the Siena poll. They did a poll back in 2020 that had Biden up by like 32. Imagine that, 32 to 13, 19-point swing. Biden won the state by 23. By 23 in 2020. Harris is only up by 13. A 10-point swing in New York, and possibly they're even underestimating Trump. Trump was only now by 9 against Biden in New York. I expected it to go up a little bit because Harris is more liked than Biden at this point based off of the approvals. But this is still good numbers for Trump there. And Trump had these massive, massive rallies. We've also got this comparison. I think I already looked at that. But you can see the comparison mid-September of 2020. This is just the overall average popular vote, an 8-point improvement for Trump there. Swing state polls by Emerson, they released a bunch. You've got Georgia with Trump sitting +3, Wisconsin, Trump +1. Wisconsin, in the polls are always underestimate Trump. You're sitting +1 in Wisconsin. That's amazing. That's like a 3.5-point victory based on the polling error in the recent 2 elections with Trump that we've seen. Pennsylvania, Trump +1. Arizona, Trump +1. These are all within the margin. It's not like, oh, Trump's up by 10, but these are still good numbers. Michigan, Harris +2. Nevada tied. North Carolina, Harris +1. So I would say overall with Emerson, you know, you'd like to see that North Carolina poll with Trump leading, although we have seen North Carolina polls in both 2020 and 2016 with Hillary and Biden leading, and Trump ended up winning both times, although his lead did get cut by 2 points from 2016 to 2020. He won it by 3.5 in 2016. He won it by like 1.5 in 2020. But it's still good news because now his internal numbers are so much better to where he's probably going to win North Carolina by about 3.5 again in 2024. And Nevada, I think liberals are probably giving up on Nevada. I know this says tied, but from what I've heard, there's a major focus on North Carolina and Georgia. They're just more electoral votes, and they think they've got a good chance. I mean, they won Georgia in 2020. There was no, oh, here's the Georgia poll with Trump +3. Georgia is such an important state. Georgia and North Carolina, you know, if you lose North Carolina, you can offset it by winning Nevada and Arizona. I would say if you're Trump, you want one of those. Of course you want all 3 of the states, but you either win North Carolina, you really don't have to worry that much about Arizona and Nevada as long as you win Georgia, or you win Arizona and Nevada, and then you don't have to worry about winning both Georgia and North Carolina. You just need one. So there's things you can offset, and it does look pretty good for Arizona and Nevada, especially Arizona recently, the polls that we've seen in that one. I think this is the same Emerson poll. Yeah, they give Emerson a poll of a B. That's the national poll from New York Times, tied at 47. Those, of course, are great numbers for Trump. This is the Fox News poll. This is the total crap numbers. There's no way Harris is winning. I mean, this is just a 20-point net swing to Harris. I'm not sure Trump's going to win independent voters by 8, but I certainly know Harris is not going to win them by 12. And there's not a 20-point net swing over a month time frame. That's ridiculous. It's erroneous numbers. Trump is going to win independents. He's certainly not going to lose them by 12 points. But even Fox News, they released a poll involving all the... Let me see if I can find this. They released a poll involving all the swing states. And it was like Trump was winning the poll by two points. It was like a weird popular vote involving all the swing states. Trump was at 50 and Kamala was at 48. This was the poll, the Atlanta Journal Liberal. They had Trump +3. So Georgia right now, it looks like is trending to Trump. That was the Teamsters thing. Just seeing if there was any other polls that I missed here. But yeah, so there were a lot of polls that got released. I think these all look good for Trump. I don't really see any crazy concerns. I mean, you could say, well, if Harris is winning independents by 12 points, that's a big concern. Well, I would agree, but based on polling trends and where we're at right now, that doesn't seem very likely. It seems like the poll is wrong. There's an error. The idea that she would win independents by 12 points, you know, I'll bet anyone right now she won't win independents by 5 points, let alone 12. So that's even a 7-point swing there, 7-point swing there in and of itself. But overall, I think these are great numbers. You could say, well, Nevada's very close. I mean, all these states are close. It's not like Trump's going to start leading polls in Nevada by 7, 8, 9 points. It's just not going to happen. It's too much of a swing state, and it's really not going to happen anywhere. But Georgia seems to be trending, at least recently, nicely. Pennsylvania is looking solid. Wisconsin, there's been very tight polls, which is good news for Trump based on how he overperforms the polls in Wisconsin. As long as Michigan stays really close, Trump's going to have a good shot, but Michigan's going to be, it's just going to be like flip a coin. Although I don't know. I think Trump, you know, it's just, they come down to like 15, 20,000 votes. It's hard to predict, but these are pretty good news. These are pretty good polls for Trump. That's going to do it for this video, guys. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.